Hello, this is Zen Philosopher signing once again for another edition of Z-Blog. Um, and today I want to speak of a debate that's been going on lately, um, and a question amongst lib- liberal Christians and conservative Christians on um, whether or not Jesus was a socialist and the uh, the supporters of liberation theology quote several scriptures which they use to support that thing. The church and Jesus was indeed socialist. But before I mention these scriptures and continue this conversation, I'm just gonna set up the premise because many very don't know much about social, the economic social structures, or don't know much about what communism, socialism, or capitalism means. So I wanna give a background story and background drop, particularly the socialism of today is is really iconized or symbolized by communism. And where did communism originate? The founding the founding the foundation for communism can be found in the Communist Manifesto. And let me explain what the Communist Manifesto is. And I was very curious, because I like economics, and I like what what these terms mean and how they put into practice, how they work. So I started studying myself. So naturally, the book I first read is two books I read in my investigation. Is the Communist Manifesto and Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell. And I'm not gonna. Let me start here with the Communist Manifesto. In 1848, the Communist Manifesto was drafted by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. It was legally published as part of court proceedings in a trial of social democratic leaders in 1872. The manifesto talks about two classes, which are the bourgeois and the proletariat. The bourgeois are those who are in control of the capital or means of production. The proletariat are the modern wage laborers who, having no means of production of their own, are reduced to selling their labor in order to live. In other words, they have to rent their time and effort to make a living. Marx believed that through history the world was divided into two classes, basically the oppressor and the oppressed. In Rome it was the public officials and the plebeians. In the medieval period it was the nobles and the serfs. Today the oppressed is the wage laborer who is forced to work for his income. The new oppressors are the employers, the industrial millionaires who are the leaders of industrial armies, those who have the capital to make business a business. Marx objected that property under capitalism under capitalism was in very few hands. The proletariat lived only as long as they found work, and they found work only as much as their employers invest their capital. You can see today that employers don't want to are not hiring because they want to invest the capital that they have, because they fear all the regulations and all the requirements that you have to upkeep in order to have employees. And, these laborers are a commodity, and are consequently exposed to all fluctuations of the market. They are like slaves of the bourgeois class. Marx lays out a plan of action for the proletariat to overthrow the ruling class. The proletariat organizes themselves into labor unions against the bourgeois. Then after enough unions have been formed, they unite nationally to form an organization. The organization then takes control of a major political party, who in turn takes the reign of power. In the past, the oppressed class took control over the ruling class only to find itself oppressing others, such as was the case in the French Revolution with the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. To end the repeated cycle of exploitation in the new proletariat government, it must rid itself of any attachment to the old class. In the past, property and wealth was rescued from one good solely to be taken from another. The theory of communism may be summed up in in this new movement. The property won't be nobody's property; it will be everybody's property. Basically, the theory of communism may be summed up in the single sentence: the abolition of private property. Wealth and property is to be shared by all and not just a few. Capital is a social power, believe Marx, and no, it should be shared by all, no, not just those who have run businesses. No. The abolition of private property meant that to the capitalists, the abolition of freedom. By freedom, Marx pointed out, they meant the present conditions of production, free trade, free selling and buying. Marx made no concealment that the abolition of the free market system was his ultimate goal. So, and the founding fathers were very, very wary of the government taking control of economic resources, because, as they pointed out, that fiscal free private property and private ownership is is linked to freedom because your wealth, your resources represent your time, your effort. So every time the government takes away that, it takes away your time and effort. They take away your freedom. So in that sense, I'd say communism is morally wrong because it steals from one person's production and hard-earned wealth to give another person who may be less blessed or less is capable of sustaining himself, but much less is still unmerited redistribution. So in that sense, it's communism is very immoral because it's basically a compulsively theft. Means taking from one person to give to another. And I think the second reason why communism or socialism is wrong is that I think that the government is not in the business of providing charity. I think that's the job of the church. And the third reason why I think it's wrong is because the abolition of when you give property to or resource, when a group of people control all the resources of a nation, it leads to tyranny, because you have heard the term absolute power corrupts absolutely. Especially because the founding fathers knew that human nature was to want to control people. That's if anyone, it doesn't matter who it was, if they had the best of the intention, but they got too much power, that power corrupted them. It went in over their heads. Even the best person can be corrupted by power, because that's human nature. Human nature wants more control, wants more power, and to give too much power to few people, it's very, very dangerous, because it leads not only to control, but in the end it leads to systematic murder, because those who are in charge only look to make production more efficient. And if you got too much demand and not enough supply, what's going to happen is that in order to be they could reduce the supply by destroying resources, or they can reduce demand by destroying the people themselves. So the communism is very arbitrary when it comes to supply and demand. And I think the third reason why is wrong um, the fourth reason why communism is wrong is that um, it's very inefficient, like I said earlier, because the people who are in who are in bureaucratic agency or in central planning cannot anticipate how the market is going to change. What's the facts on the ground? How's the supply and demand? No, let's say there's not enough demand of wheat or corn, and they budget so much of corn. So what they have to do is they have the corn rots there, and but if they don't anticipate the demand for corn or wheat, then there's a huge shortage. So communism is very inefficient because it doesn't predict facts on the ground, because single persons can't predict what people are gonna want in the future. So uh, consumer-based economy or a free market system is more efficient because producers respond to the demand of consumers rather than arbitrarily setting production. No. Okay, so I hope this was very informative, and I'll get to the specific scriptures of that I was talking about next time. All right. God bless.